Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Wake County Virtual Candidate Forum for the Wake County Board of Education. My name is Kathy Thompson, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters of Wake County. The League of Women Voters of Wake County is a nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering voters and defending democracy. We encourage informed and active participation in government, help citizens increase their understanding of major public policy issues, and work to influence public policy through education and advocacy. As a nonpartisan organization, the League of Women Voters does not endorse or oppose candidates and is proud to continue our long history of hosting candidate forums. The views, opinions, and content expressed in this presentation do not necessarily reflect the views or policies of the League of Women Voters. All candidates who filed to run for the Wake County Board of Education were invited to participate in our candidate forums. Outreach included emails, phone calls, as well as certified letters inviting candidates to respond and provide citizens an opportunity to learn about their views. Thank you to the candidates who are with us today. The Wake County Board of Education is the local governing body of the Wake Public School System. It is the largest school district in North Carolina and the 14th largest in the United States. It serves a very diverse student body and has improved its graduation rate so that almost 91% graduate from high school. Its 9 members are currently elected from 9 separate county districts. Each member represents that district within the entire board and is elected by residents of that district. This race is nonpartisan, meaning that candidates are not running as representatives of a political party, and their party affiliation is not listed on the ballot. The school board sets policy for the school system, implemented by the superintendent and administrative staff. The board also adopts an annual budget proposal that includes its request for local funding from the Wake County Board of Commissioners, as well as its plan for using their allocated state and federal funds. The school board does not have taxing authority. Today, we welcome candidates for District 6, Sam Hershey and Josh Points. District 6 is in the middle of Wake County. All candidates live in District 6. Welcome, Sam and Josh. Thank you for joining us today. We will ask every candidate for the Wake County Board of Education the same questions. The questions will cover a range of issues relevant to the scope of the board. You will have 1 minute each for your opening statement and closing statement, and 1 minute to answer each question. The last person to speak to a question will be the first person to speak to the next question. Before we begin, I'd like to verify with the candidates that they have not received the questions in advance. Can you verbally confirm?
Confirmed.
Confirmed.
Thank you. You now will have 1 minute for an opening statement. Sam Hershey, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. My name is Sam Hershey, and I'm running for re-election for the Wake County Public School Board in District 6 because I believe in the importance of public education. In District 6, we have a lot of great schools. We have nationally recognized magnet schools. We have leadership academies. We have schools that are STEM recognized. And we have a lot of great students and staff and families in District 6. But I recognize as a District 6 representative that we have our challenges too. Recently, our proficiency scores came out, and they were not where we want them to be. I am proud of the work that I've done on the school board, and that includes our new strategic plan, which focuses heavily on grade level proficiency scores. I'm really excited that our new superintendent, who I voted to hire, is also focused on that, along with our new academic head. By the way, I want to forgive my nerves in an opening statement.
Thank you, Sam. Josh Points, please go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, my name's Josh Points, and I'm happy to enjoy this discussion today about our Wake County Public Schools, and look forward to making the case why I should be the representative from District 6. A little bit about myself. I'm the father of 3 children. I've been married for 18 years, and I've lived in Raleigh since 2005. I currently work as a commercial real estate advisor for Medalist Capital and have run several businesses which are capital intensive, similar to our Wake County Public Schools. I believe my business experience is much needed on our current school board. There are 3 leading indicators as to why our public schools are struggling. The first is high absenteeism. The second is low proficiency rates, where 1 out of 3 kids are unable to read, write, and do math at grade level. And finally, we continue to lose market share in our public schools. I believe in our public schools, and I want them to be better. I believe that we have the resources to fix these problems today. We need someone on the school board that has a strong financial acumen, which I do, and also that can align an organization around a common goal, which is increasing proficiency rates. Proficiency is something that we all have in common, and I believe that this is the greatest challenge that faces our schools today.
Thank you, Josh. We will now move to the question part of the forum. You will have 1 minute to answer each question. School safety and security is a complex issue. There has been a lot of discussion about the role of law enforcement in schools. Do you think law enforcement plays a role in school safety? And what policies or procedures do you think schools should have around school security? Sam, you have 1 minute to answer the first question.
I apologize. At the beginning, you said it was alternating. Can you repeat the question for me? Because I was thinking Josh was going first before I answer.
Happy to.
Okay, thanks.
School safety and security is a complex issue. There has been a lot of discussion about the role of law enforcement in schools. Do you think law enforcement plays a role in school safety? And what policies or procedures do you think schools should have around school security?
Thank you. So a priority for me is making sure we have a safe learning environment. All of our high schools and all of our middle schools have SROs. We have memorandum of understanding with every single law enforcement agency that we review every 3 years, and we actually just updated it. And we have a really great safety and security team, because I'm not an expert on safety and security. So I rely on their expertise, and they are constantly reviewing how we keep our schools safe and reviewing technology. And if they ever bring a proposal to the board, we review it and we likely approve it, because their expertise is so important. It's really critical for a good education and for our teachers to ensure we have a safe learning environment. So I am supportive of them being there. I know our teachers appreciate it, and I will continue to trust and lean on our safety and security team for this work.
Thank you, Sam. Josh, you now have 1 minute to answer the first question.
Yeah, I think it's great that we have SRO officers in all of our schools. And, we've had a lot of incidents lately, which I think are concerning to parents. So making sure that we have a great relationship with our law enforcement officers is super important. I think that we can look at certain ideas, for instance, putting metal detectors in our schools to make sure that different types of contraband don't come into our schools. I also think that we can eliminate phones from our schools, which will make them safer. I think there's a variety of things that we have to look at. And most importantly, I think that to make our schools safer, we have to increase or reevaluate our student conduct code. Because I think that right now we're not allowing our teachers to be empowered enough in the classroom, and we don't have a clear distinction between acceptable and unacceptable behavior.
Thank you, Josh. We'll now move on to the second question. Wake County continues to face a staffing shortage, both with teachers and hourly employees. What strategies do you think would help recruit and retain teachers and other critical staff? Josh, you have 1 minute to answer the second question.
Yeah, well, I think that one of the big things that faces our public schools is obviously teacher pay and our hourly pay for those workers that work in our support staff every day. So I think that we have to do a better job of allocating more of the $700 million that the citizens of Wake County invest in our public schools to directly go to those people first and foremost. They need to be our top priority. I think in terms of retaining and looking at teachers, we need to look at increasing the pathway for our instructional assistants to become teachers. That'll help fill some of these teaching gaps that we have. I think that's super, super important. And then finally, and I think that we continue to make strides in this, is just to be more proactive in terms of our outreach of finding future candidates for our public schools.
Thank you, Josh. Sam, you now have 1 minute to answer the second question.
So I'm proud to have supported a bunch of pay raises with our local supplement. We have the strongest local supplement, I believe, in the entire state. I know it's very easy to say we should direct more money, but when my opponent says that, he's never saying what we should get rid of in that supplement. And that's a big deal because you talk about fiscal management, you're cutting something to move something. And we just had to put a bunch of teachers or a bunch of support staff from federal dollars onto local dollars. And that's important in our schools. We are already creating a pathway to move instructional assistants to the teaching position. It's strong, it's robust. When it comes to pay, though, we really have to continue to advocate to the state. The state is the one who controls the majority of the salary. That's where the big increases need to come from. And it's also about, when it comes to retention, making sure that we do have a safe learning environment for our teachers. That helps keep our teachers and all of our staff in Wake County Public Schools.
Thank you, Sam. We will now move on to the third question. Public education faces scrutiny around its value in our community. How do you view your mission to provide an excellent education for every child in Wake County? Sam, you have 1 minute to answer the third question.
Everything we do is about providing that education and that excellent education. Now, in our community in District 6, families are really proud of the schools they go to. There's a lot of pride there. What goes into an excellent education? All right, there's a lot of things. It's making sure, from a school board perspective, kids get to school on time. With transportation issues, it's making sure our kids get fed. It's making sure we retain teachers and recruit staff. It's making sure that we have safe learning environments. All of this goes into creating an environment for students to learn. It's about our central service staff reviewing what we're doing in the classroom to improve education processes and the work that our teachers are doing. There's a lot that goes into creating a world-class education in Wake County, and I trust and believe in our staff, and I believe that we are moving in the right direction.
Thank you, Sam. Josh, you now have 1 minute to answer the third question.
Yeah, well, I think we've got a lot of great teachers and a lot of great parents that really care about our schools. But the reality is that 1 out of 3 kids are struggling in our classrooms, as demonstrated by our proficiency rates. So I think that if we've got great teachers and we've got great parents and we've got students that want to learn, that we can accomplish more than we are right now. So to do that, we have to look at the methodology. We were much better 20 years ago at educating our students than we are today. So we need to look at different classical types of teaching styles, memorization and math, more reading with books, all things that were successful 20 years ago. So look, I think that proficiency is the way that we align a system to grow and to demonstrate to the public that we're doing great work in our classrooms.
Thank you, Josh. We will now move on to the fourth question. We have seen an increase in restrictions placed on reading materials available in school and public libraries. What do you think the school board's role should be in making materials available in school libraries? Josh, you have 1 minute to answer the fourth question.
Sure. Well, I think that our schools should be apolitical. So all the stuff that we have in our schools, the reading materials and so forth, should be things that we all agree upon. Our history, facts about science, all kinds of different books. And I think that a lot of these uh, differences that we have need to be pushed out of our libraries so that our students are reading things that prepare them to be great members of a future society. And I think that we agree on more things than we disagree, and we need to focus on the areas that we agree on and make sure that our reading materials reflect those agreements.
Thank you, Josh. Sam, you now have 1 minute to answer the fourth question.
Well, needless to say, I disagree with that position. This idea that we all have to agree, because we have some extremist groups like Moms for Liberty. We have an extremist running for state superintendent in Michelle Morrow, and they want to ban books because they don't trust our librarians. And I'm opposed to banning books. I think it's terrible for a public school system. I think it's terrible for democracy. Like I said, I trust our librarians, but also I trust our families. Families can have conversations about what books and what materials they want their kids to be reading in school and in libraries. Wake County has a system set up where you can challenge a book if you want, if you find it offensive or you don't think it should be there. It's a process that's been in place for a long time, but I actually favor adding more books. One of the issues that we have is our library collections are really old and we need to update them. And that's part of what I want to do in a second term on the Wake County Public School Board.
Thank you, Sam. We will now move on to the fifth and last question. School construction is paid for with local property taxes. We have some schools that are under-enrolled and some that are overcrowded. What are your suggestions on how to best balance the school population and utilize our existing capital structure? And Sam, you have 1 minute to answer the fifth question.
So in District 6, we don't have a lot of capacity. Our schools are pretty full, elementary school wise. We have some capacity in middle schools, but not a significant amount. Now, outside of District 6, we have some schools that are in places where we lease. And that's where I think we should focus on using the available space. For instance, we have some space on Centennial Middle School campus. How can we use that? Maybe with the NC State early college program, relocating them there. But so that would be one place that I intend to target, and conversations have kind of started about those sorts of things. But it's important that we also keep our schools with a good socioeconomical balance. We don't want to have schools that have a high percentage of low socioeconomic families. That's not proven to be not good for education. There's been a lot of studies on that. So I think we have to do a better job of identifying where we don't need buildings and moving and using the capacity we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Josh, you now have 1 minute to answer the fifth question.
Yeah, I think when we talk about capacity and management, the biggest thing is to disrupt the fewest students as possible as we manage our capacity and look towards the future. I think that when you look at planning for the future, you have to make sure that the land that you find is properly ready to be built upon. I also think that in our growth areas, we have to make sure that we've got a good idea of where we're growing and how we're growing. But the reality is that our growth rate has shrunk tremendously over the last 10 years. 85% of the kids, 82% of our eligible students attended our schools 10 years ago, and now only 75% do. So I think that we've got to really make a push to bring people back to our public schools and then manage the capacity appropriately.
Thank you, Josh. We will now move on to the closing statements. Thank you to the candidates for coming today to participate in our virtual candidate forum. We recognize that running and serving an elective office is a considerable commitment of time, energy, and often sacrificed opportunities. The League, along with the residents of Wake County, is grateful that we have so many capable fellow citizens who are willing to step forward to serve the important duties as a member of the Wake County Board of Education. You now will have 1 minute to make closing statements. Sam, we'll start with you. You have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this. I just want to say that a lot of things my opponent talked about I'm already doing and the board is already doing and the school system is already doing. But one thing that he never talks about is constituent services. And that's a huge part of being on the Wake County Public School Board and being an elected official. When District 6 families reach out to me, when PTAs reach out to me, they know I get back to them and that I work on an issue until it is resolved. And that is something that I have a lot of pride in. And so I want to close with a note from a family that I just got in the mail yesterday. Quote, David and I are so happy to support Sam for Wake County Public School Board. We are so appreciative of his guidance and support when navigating high school for our son and believe the kids of Wake County deserve someone who cares so much about each kid's needs. I'm Sam Hershey. I'm running for Wake County Public School. We're running for re-election, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Josh, you now will have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Sure. Well, I spent 17 years in the private club business, so I've certainly spent a lot of time working on problems and serving the members on a daily basis, which is not much different than serving on the school board. But I would think that 1 out of 3 kids is not proficient in math, English is horrible, and we need to change that. And so to change that, we have to focus more on proficiency and aligning our resources with our goals. I believe our public schools are the most important aspect of creating a better future society. But a huge part of that is getting all the students to the starting line, which means that we must be proficient in these basic skills. We need to raise the standards in our school. We need to restructure our student code of conduct to make clear that what is acceptable and unacceptable and the consequences when you do unacceptable actions. We need to get phones out of the classroom because we know that these devices do more harm than good. We also need to return to our teaching methods that we saw 20 years ago. We have to make changes to our school. This is all in our collective best interest to create a better future society. I'm Josh Points, and I'm running for the District 6.
Thank you, Josh. As we end our forum, we encourage you to visit our website, vote411.org, to learn more about the candidates on your ballot and to find out the latest information on polling place hours and locations. Please make your voting plan for the upcoming election and encourage your friends and family to vote as well. Thank you again for joining us.